Today, the Biden administration restarts Trump's border wall. I can't imagine why. The CDC coordinated with big tech, apparently, to censor vaccine misinformation. And San Francisco declares an emergency over monkeypox. Oh, the jokes that will be made here. We've got all of that and more coming up, and it all starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. Happy Friday. I am Sarah Gonzalez, today joined by BlazeTV contributor Alex Stein, host of The Conspiracy Castle, which you all should be subscribed to. The dab is like way out, Alex.
I'm bringing it back. Primetime 99 is bringing the dab back,
Okay,
you know?
okay.
It's not just for your buffalo wings, dabbing and ranch. We dab here in the news and why it matters.
Also joined by host of Slightly Offensive, BlazeTV host of Slightly Offensive, Elijah Schaefer.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, it's so good, of course, in a typical Sarah fashion. She points out, you didn't write me back today when I wrote you. But unfortunately for myself, my home ec skills are apparently poor because I woke up to a large, probably like 9x16 frame above my bed, crashing onto my head. And my wife just going, what was that? And I just have a picture on my face.
I know who it was.
There's a frame on my head.
Elijah.
Moving right along, during a press conference yesterday, Peter Doocy grilled the lovely Karine Jean-Pierre, White House press secretary, who obviously is amazing at her job because we know affirmative action works really well.
And she's so amazing because of her sexuality.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
Well, that's what qualifies her to do the job.
Because she's immune to monkeypox. And that's why I trust her, because she's a lesbian, and we all know that monkeypox, we don't know where it comes from, but we know who it doesn't affect.
Well, we have to stop calling it monkeypox because my biological father gave it a new name. It's called schlong COVID, all right? We do not... Tucker named it schlong COVID. We do not call it monkeypox because that is racist, and schlong COVID is inclusive. So that's the new name.
Okay, all right.
It's a fiery
Friday.
episode. All right.
It's a Friday.
Even
All
your
right.
pants or where the postures on your face.
I love KJP, though.
We're getting to monkeypox later.
He's on one today.
Okay.
Get this man a show.
I'm fired up. I'm fired up today. I'm sorry. Excuse me. I'll calm down.
No, don't calm down.
I don't know
Please
why
don't.
I just talk, and they just talk over me. I don't know why I'm even here.
White men.
Karine Jean-Pierre was talking. Peter Doocy was grilling Karine Jean-Pierre about Mayor Bowser. We've covered this on the program before. Mayor Bowser requesting the National Guard to help with the influx of migrants from Texas and Arizona. It's really interesting, you guys, because a few brown illegals show up in DC, and Mayor Bowser's like, oh. We don't want them here. We can't handle them. Just send them back to Texas, where there are millions and millions of them coming over the border. They can handle it. We don't want that kind here. Here's what Karine Jean-Pierre had to say about that.
We have been in regular touch with Mayor Bowser and her team. And I said this before. I said this last week about Republicans using migrants as a political tool. And that is shameful, and that is just wrong.
So the White House's preference would be for small towns in Texas and Arizona to have to take care of these migrants rather than a large metropolitan city like Washington, D.C.
That is not what I said.
That is what you said.
No,
You said you think that people are using migrants.
Yeah, they are. They're sending migrants to big cities on purpose, using them as a political ploy.
So if they don't go to big cities, where should they
There's
go?
a process. I just laid it out.
There's a process, and they come to a big city, and now the mayor says she needs the National Guard.
That's because Republicans are using migrants happening.
Does any of this just make the president want to say this is causing a lot of burdens on small cities, big cities? Maybe I should just close the border.
What I'm saying is what Republicans are doing is wrong, and there is a process in place, and we should follow the process. There's a legal process in place.
Wait, there's a process in place, and we should follow the process, kind of like the law that says that we have a border for a reason and we should enforce it, but not that process, I guess.
Well,
not that process.
These liberal cities, they're already liberal, so they don't need the migrants. That's why they want them in Texas. I mean, that's the elephant in the room, so that will turn blue. I mean, you know, D.C. and New York and the East Coast is already blowing up.
Which, by the way, they would call, the white replacement theory, and they did all this hit piece on your biological father, Tucker Carlson. But it's like, No, they're literally letting illegal immigrants vote in local elections in New York. Like, this is actually happening. It isn't a conspiracy theory. It's happening.
And these same people that, say voter ID is, racist are the same ones that want you to have a vaccine mandate in order to eat a hot dog at 7-Eleven. So go figure.
But it is racist. Do you know what I mean? Because as the DC mayor would point out, they need a National Guard because you can't, the police check IDs, and people of color, brown people, black people can't get IDs, and so you have to leave it up to who? To the military.
They don't have computers.
That's what you're saying. We got to take care of these wild, unidentified brown and black people that are coming from Haiti and Mexico and El Salvador. And to me, it seems a little bit racist, but of course, in DC, just to be fair, they don't quite have their crap together, and I would be a little bit afraid too. They're barely handling their city as it is, so I completely understand. Like when you go there, you feel like you're in the middle of Hunger Games. Like you just men are in dresses, and you have homeless people screaming and in windows. They're shutting down businesses everywhere because they can't keep the crime off the streets. And I mean, so it's like you already feel like you're in a dystopian nightmare. And so I understand throwing a few more, illegals out there might cause a few issues.
But they're the ones who want open borders. They're the ones who want them here, so they can have them. Yeah, take them, please.
And I agree, but it's funny you bring that because I'm not a DC expert.
Why are you holding a Sharpie?
Oh, because I'm just nervous. What I'm saying is, so this is what I was.
My legs. I wear shorts today, and it always makes them a little shaky.
I was just in DC with my girlfriend AOC, my future bride. We're actually having an announcement to come in the near future. But neither here nor there. What I'm saying is, right next to Pennsylvania Avenue, right outside of the White House. This is a serious thing. There was a tent city. There was literally the park right outside. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wait, why you can literally see the White House from where the tent city was. And I'm like, how is this? This doesn't even make sense. I mean, it's a really bad problem. Like, we're not speaking hyperbolically and metaphorically. There is a homeless problem in DC next to the White House, which in a
seems like that would be a security.
Well, one of the only cities,
doesn't make sense.
One of the only cities where the crazy people in the tents still think better than the politicians in the nice buildings. And that's what's even crazier about it. It's like the tent people are literally the smartest people in the town. So, I mean, props to them.
Well, I want to... So on the topic of border and border security, throughout the presidential campaign, Joe Biden kept claiming that he said, not another foot of the border wall would be built on his watch. But just yesterday, the Biden administration approved a plan to complete a section of the border over in Yuma, Arizona. So it's going to fill 4 major gaps in the wall that continue to allow Yuma to be one of the busiest corridors for these illegal immigrants. We've seen our friend over at the Daily Caller, Jorge Ventura, cover this. We've seen, I believe, that was one of the places that Savannah Hernandez, who's doing great work as well, where she has gone. And it's kind of a big problem, but it's just so interesting to me that Joe Biden keeps, he basically ran on, I'm going to undo all of the things that Trump did for better or worse. And he did. And we're seeing how that's playing out in our society. And so now he can't say like, hey, actually, securing the border was probably a good thing and maybe we should do it, because he'll upset all of the radicals. So instead, he has to go in secret and start secretly and quietly rebuilding this border wall because, of course, they know that this is not you can't continue to allow these immigrants to pour in and think that your society is not going to completely crumble.
And don't forget, our GDP will be raised. We'll be out of a recession because we're spending American money on American products by building a wall. So Joe Biden is the smartest, best, 81 million voted on president in the world. Thank you, Joe. I love you.
Yeah, I was going to say, the gaps in the wall are like almost as big as Amy Schumer, which is a problem. And it's true. And I mean, it's true.
Amy Schumer had her start on Fox News. Did you know that? Yeah, on Red Eye. Sorry. I can't believe that.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I know. I understand. She probably does have some pink eye. She's a dirty girl, but I will say, it's just like it's open so wide, right? I feel like I'm seeing like a Kardashian's legs spread open. It's just like I'm absolutely mortified when I've gone down there and I've seen what's happening. I want to give shout out, like you said, to Savannah Hernandez, to Jorge, to Taylor Hansen,
Taylor as well.
to those that are down there, Julio Rosas, and even Malusian, who've been down there and just really showcasing. Yeah, El Chapo's been pretty good. Well, I don't even know what they call it, Sinaloa Cartel. Trust me, I'll get you your money soon. All right. No, but I was gonna say, like, I just these journalists have done such a good job showcasing consistently how it's not like there's like a caravan that comes up and we have a bad day. This is not just like a bad Tuesday. It's that they can go down there. This is the most insane thing. that they can go down there, little Savannah Hernandez, and like cross the river with these people, with the people, and walk across and showcase this, but like day after day, to where eventually like, I got to get back home and change my clothes because this isn't going to stop. And so it's like, well, if you're not going to try to stop it, at least with a wall, like, I don't know where this leads. I've been wondering that. I'm like, where are all these illegals? Because there's millions coming in every year. I think it was like 1 million, right?
Yeah, I think it's more than 1 million now because it's hundreds of thousands a month is what they're at now. So it'd be more than 1 million.
Where are they? Like, I'm just like.
They're also not all, like, people think it's just all Mexicans. They're not all from Mexico.
Russia,
they're coming from really
Eastern
dangerous
Europe,
places.
South America,
They don't
Asia.
love us. So maybe a reason to vet people before you just let them into your country.
And this is the problem: is people know if they get detained by ICE and then they get deported, even if they have a serious crime, they can just come right back here and they don't have to serve the time. Yet if us three committed a crime, we'd have to serve that time. We wouldn't be able to get deported. So that's why it's also rigged against us. They don't have to follow the same criminal justice system as us.
So I love this. I love this story too. Apparently, Mexico City residents are they're very upset by an influx of Americans speaking English and gentrifying their area. So there's an influx of Californians and other Americans who are making their way to Mexico City. That's when you know, by the way, that things are going really great in America. Well, at least in California, when the people in California are like, wow, I think we better escape to Mexico City. That sounds really good right now. So the LA Times reported earlier this week that Mexican locals are fed up with the growing number of Americans moving to and visiting the country, which has contributed to a rise in rent and a shift from Spanish to English in some places. There are a bunch of flyers around Mexico City that say, new to the city, working remotely, you're a effing plague and the locals effing hate you, leave.
I love it. I'm thinking about moving to Mexico, honestly.
Can we do that when they come here?
It's a nice city. Plus, I don't know if you saw like El Chapo's ex-wife. I mean, they've got some attractive women down
she was
there.
ride or die. She said that she had no idea.
She had no idea. It's like
any nefarious business dealings.
Yeah, Mexican women are crazy, but at the same time, they're loyal too. Like you look at that and you're going, wow. I mean, you get the psycho loyalty scale. So hot and loyal, but insane. I don't know, but if you're into that kind of stuff, then go down there. And also, like, Mexico City's actually really beautiful. I don't know if people know this.
It is beautiful.
But it's not like the North that's so controlled by cartels. Mexico City is where cartels launder their money and where like things are invested and where things move. But they're not like, it's not what you would think, this chaotic place. Like Chicago's probably just as dangerous or more dangerous, like in some ways. Like if you just go in the nice areas and the architecture, everything is amazing. And so it's kind of funny though, it's like our inflation, our housing crisis is hitting Mexico. It's kind of comical. You gotta laugh.
And the last thing, insulin is $7 in Mexico and $170 in America. So
and
maybe
fentanyl doesn't require a prescription.
Yeah, maybe Mexico isn't that dumb or bad. It might be a pretty good place.
Yeah, think about how horrible it is when there are like 1.6 million Americans who are living in Mexico, and a bunch of them came during the pandemic because Mexico eased their restrictions more quickly than the United States. Well, at least California.
And they're all remote. So it's like we did this to ourselves. I mean, it's also in the same time zone. So I mean, you're not really going to have a very big problem. I don't think it's a bad thing. Are you moving to Mexico?
Yeah, I'm moving to Mexico after this conversation. I'm going to be the first Blaze correspondent from Mexico.
I just want to be a drug lord.
Are you making money off of like selling people on the idea of moving to Mexico?
Mexico tourism industry.
Life is getting a cut.
Well, it's just, I mean, come on. I mean, I still can't get over that El Chapo's ex-wife was like, I had no idea he was doing drugs.
She might have to say that too because she doesn't want to end up, hanging from a bridge.
No, she's ride or die. That's how we're made.
Yeah, I agree.
That's
with
how
that,
we're made.
actually, yeah.
All right, we've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Sweat Block. So sweating is gross. Nobody likes to talk about it, especially if you are someone who maybe sweats profusely, which I get it. Like you can't control it. Is that you?
Yeah,
you get like the pit stains.
Yeah, and I got Botox. Sweat. I got Botox injured from my armpits. Yeah,
no.
So get Sweat Blocks. Yeah, I can't smell or taste anything either. So it's really bad. I'm kidding.
Oh, I was like, that's not.
I need Sweat Block. Tell me why I need it.
Okay, but I'm glad that you said that because some people it's just a problem. But so Sweat Block is where it's at because they have the regular deodorant which you can use. That's fine, but they have these antiperspirant wipes that work for up to 7 days per use. And I'm telling you, Alex, listen, my husband has tested it and it really works. And we live in Texas where it's 10 billion degrees out.
Yes.
And those antiperspirant wipes are where it's at. You got to get them. Plus, you get the dry shirt guarantee. If Sweatblock does not keep you dry, you will get your money back, so you have nothing to lose, okay? It works amazingly. I told you, we're here in Texas. It's 10 million degrees, and it works for us. It can work for you. Try it risk-free today. Save 20% with promo code NEWS at sweatblock.com if you don't want to be embarrassed by your sweat anymore. Sweatblock.com, promo code NEWS. Twitter warned yesterday that governments around the globe are asking the company to remove content or snoop on private details of user accounts at an alarming rate. They said that they fielded a record number of legal demands, about 60,000 legal demands during a 6-month period last year from either local, state, or national governments that wanted Twitter to either remove content from accounts or reveal confidential information, DMs, user locations, things like that. The U.S. makes up the majority of demands for account information. You guys are shocked?
Wow.
Are you shocked? Yeah. Accounting for
January
about
6th Commission?
20% of the requests. India followed closely behind, and Twitter says it complied with about 40% of all of the asks. And by the way, Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram now, also reported an increase in government asks for private user data. So I want to kind of combine that with the story that I read at the Washington Free Beacon, which is that, look, this is going to be one of those things that you're like, yeah, we already knew this. This isn't news.
Water's wet.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, well, now we have verification anyway that the CDC coordinated with social media companies and Google to censor users who expressed skepticism or criticism of course, COVID-19 vaccines, which Alex will tell you
is safe and effective. And my FBI agent is listening. I just want to say, Gary, congratulations on your baby. Thank you so much for monitoring me and keeping me in line. I really appreciate everything you do at the FBI and CIA. Thank you.
Well, that was nicer. Mostly I just use words that go in that jar when I talk to my FBI agents. But I also do want to point out the reason why this is so critical and to understand and to point this out is I saw a comment that was like, yeah, let's point out the hypocrisy and show the corruption, and it'll make the bad guys change their mind. And I go, well, you're getting confused. We don't do this so the government becomes less corrupt or that bad guys change their mind. It's to red pill the people who are asleep, who just are not aware of what's going on, to create a greater resistance. Like, that's what this is about. Like, hey, do you know this? And I remember when I was reading that after January 6th, when I apparently found out I'm still not only under investigation for the wiretapping, but for being in Nancy Pelosi's office, it was like immediately the FBI was like, oh, we need the records from everyone that's on this investigatory list from Bank of America. We need their banking records, and we need their DMs from Facebook. And I'm like on the list, and I'm going, okay. And then Facebook, Meta, back then it was Facebook, and then Bank of America were like, yeah, we complied and we handed over everything to the government. They told you that? No, they publicly said this, that they complied with the investigations. This was like a public statement. Yeah. They handed over DMs, and that's when I moved to Signal and stopped using Facebook entirely. Thank you for sending my DMs. I'm sure my genitals look nice. I hope you enjoy them. Yeah. He's Brian. He's not Gary. Yeah. Brian's Brian. Brian's looking at my DMs with my wife. I don't know, but I'm just saying, they went in there, and it's like, but what's the point? Like, when the government is intruding to this degree, that's just for political targeting. Like, they want to invade your privacy to target you for persecution. Because if it was any other type of normal legal case where you did something actually wrong that was penalized, that you knew you were doing wrong, they wouldn't need to go through these requests. They would just take you to trial, create charges, and then you would find out in your trial what needs to be accessed, what was connected to the crime. But if they don't tell you about what crime it was, you probably did not commit a crime, you probably just went against the regime.
Yeah, and I want to say this too, because we know on social media that free speech doesn't exist, but one of the few places it still does, and the reason why I'm sitting here today is in these public meetings, in these town halls, in these, school board meetings, not so much, but it's funny, it's like that's the only place we can actually speak freely is in public. If you go on the internet, you literally cannot speak freely. So if people don't realize that now.
Yeah, give me a few green tea shots and you'll hear me speak pretty
freely. But free speech does not exist on these platforms. So it's like, if you think that they're not snooping on you too, you have no rights.
Yeah, and we've known that for a while. But it is just really sad because, again, there were so many people who got spied on by the government, who had all of their posts censored, potentially kicked off, banned from these public platforms, and everything that they were saying was like, right 6
Alex
months
Berenson,
later.
he's sued.
Yeah.
He sued.
Yeah,
It was like,
and won.
But we don't know.
Well,
they had to seal the case. It was
He's
like an
back
agreement.
on Twitter anyway.
Sudden adult death syndrome has nothing to do with, it's people are just getting heart attacks as the weather's warmer. That's it. That's the only reason.
Yeah, actually, I saw this too, that climate change is actually fueling
Causing
uptick
it,
in
yes,
racism
that's what.
too.
Yeah, it's climate change.
Maybe climate change, the sudden adult death syndrome, is a punishment for racism that the climate's fixing.
I
It's like,
agree.
what if it's just racists that are dying?
I
hope so. I hope the
wish that
climate's
was
killing the
the case,
racists
yeah.
to protect the vaccines.
The vaccine is safe and effective, and
Yeah.
it's the best thing ever. And
No,
I'm
yeah,
like- now, and on a serious vaccine though, is the new 4th booster rollout is they're planning on September. So make sure to sign up, CVS.com.
I signed up. I might make the switch. I was looking more. I'm a Walgreens guy.
So speaking of all of the greatest vaccine ever, the Biden administration apparently spent more than $25,000 and authorized the use of tens of thousands of dollars more on media training for CDC Director Rochelle Walensky. And she still sucks.
Yeah, she sucks.
That's what makes me mad about this. I'm like, I'm okay with the administration spending money on media training for someone who's going to go out talking to people, but she should be better than that.
Hire actors.
They need to hire me. I would be the best at it. I'd be like, it's so safe and effective. Please get it. Sign up at
I mean, you
CVS.com.
basically just
That's
did
what
that.
I'm saying. I'm so good at it. Walensky, hire me. I will get everybody vaccinated. And if they're not vaccinated, that's all. I'm not going to say anything.
David Hogg needs a new
Camps?
job.
Yeah, you're going.
Re-education camps?
And it's funny, we talk about, the Japanese internment camps that America had, not such a bad idea when it comes to the unvaxxed. I'm just saying.
Okay, but you're joking. They've literally made this point before, and they're not joking.
They created camps in Australia. I do want to remind people that not only
You
are
got
they
free food there and free internet.
yeah, but you
so
couldn't
it's not
step
that
off your
bad.
balcony. Like, that was so crazy. They
Who
were called
cares?
quarantine, health camps, and you're like, sounds awful familiar. And they spent hundreds of millions of dollars on these camps, and it's kind
You
of
get
crazy.
45 minutes to walk around the yard.
Yeah, but it was crazy. Even if you were vaccinated, that's when you knew it was bunk. Even if you were vaccinated, you still had to go into quarantine, and then you had to pay for your quarantine, and then you weren't allowed to see anyone. And it was like, and now we're walking around, and Biden gets COVID, and he's he's eating a meal, and he's using the restroom.
Excuse me, he cleaned his plate.
He cleaned his plate, and then he's back out in 5 days. Meaning these people can't keep up with their own BS.
The science is constantly changing, Elijah. Please, the science is changing. That's how science works.
Okay, you say that, but
version 52. It's it's a new textbook every week.
You say that, but they are working on, they say, another vaccine to address the variants. Are people going to take it?
Oh, yeah, because the BA.5 variant is a little different. And so now the new science is changing constantly, Sarah. So that's why we're constantly, do whatever Dr. Fauci says.
BA.5.
But I'm saying, are people actually going to still
degree?
take this?
It's starting they have degrees now. It's graduated from 19. It's COVID-19, now it's COVID-23.
Okay, I keep on going from serious to real, but Sarah, we forget that people like this. People love this. People I've been flying a lot lately. I mean, it's not half, but a quarter of the people still have their mask on. Yes, I mean, there's people that still like it. As a matter of fact, misery loves company. People want it to keep going. There's a contingency of people that are sad that COVID is not on the forefront, and now they're switching to climate change.
I want to say 2 points to that. One is real, and one you have to guess if I'm being real.
Oh, God.
Number one, it is true that when you have a country where you lose your identity, that you need something to identify with. And people identify with victimization and also with fear. And so when there is a project that you can have this, you can for once, right? You're not a part of a church, you're not a part of a company, but you can feel this global unified effort to finally fight something that's evil, right? It becomes a new religion. And so you feel that void, and it's like, well, I need to not leave my home. I know what I'm doing. I don't see people. People are telling me what to do. I'm waiting for my money because I'm being told what to do because I don't have my own identity. That's the other side, and people don't know how to give that up. Secondly, I do want to say it is weird that back in 2014, an article came out that said that there was a rise in painful sexual kinks in America. Dominatrixes were becoming increasingly popular, and people like to be bent over and spanked and hurt. And I think that's weird as the rise as Americans' desire and their love to be hurt and finding pleasure from pain suddenly aligned with their love for the lockdowns, the masks, and the being fired and laid off from their jobs and never seeing their loved ones as they died in hospitals. I just don't know. Maybe our pleasure and pain intolerance is increasing. And so what I'd like to do is study NIH. We can need Biden. That's where we'll get our money. We need $500,000 to study the correlation between the rise in pain kinks and enjoying the lockdowns after it's ended.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break. First, we want to thank our sponsor. This is new sponsor of the program, Nugenix. So you men out there, if you feel like maybe you can't get in shape anymore, it's not your fault, maybe. As men age, their bodies naturally lose free testosterone, which is obviously the man hormone. It can happen to every man, and it can make it more difficult to stay in shape, be energetic and active. So if you want more energy to counter the negative physical effects of aging, which we all have to go through, I'm sorry to tell you, we're all aging. Nugenix Total T Testosterone Booster with Testofen will help you turn back the clock, re-energize your workouts, get you better results at the gym, and help you look and feel like the man you really want to be. They boost free testosterone that the aging process robs, so you're going to feel stronger, leaner, with more energy and drive. Nugenix is going to give you the same clinical potency levels used in the trials, and Nugenix's formulation is backed by 10 years of science and research. You can get a complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T when you text MATTERS to 231-231. You can text now and get a bottle of Nugenix Thermo. This is their most powerful fat incinerator ever. They've got key ingredients to help you get back in shape fast, absolutely free. You got to text MATTERS, that's the word MATTERS, to 231-231. Well, we were discussing all of the ways that the government worked in conjunction with social media companies to combat medical misinformation. It appears that they are trying to do it again. Earlier this week, the World Health Organization called on big tech to help combat misinformation, not about COVID-19, of course. This time, it is about the big, the bad monkeypox. Watch.
The stigma and discrimination can be as dangerous as any virus and can fuel the outbreak. As we have seen with COVID-19, misinformation and disinformation can spread rapidly online. So we call on all social media platforms, tech companies, and news organizations to work with us to prevent and counter harmful information.
So, it's interesting. San Francisco just declared a state of emergency over monkeypox. And I was watching a viral clip of some guests on Fox News, and Ned Ryan was trying to explain that there is data that's just come out from a medicine journal, I think it's New England, saying that the majority, upwards of 95%. There was a statistic I saw that was like 98% of cases of these monkeypox cases are in gay men.
No, gay. It's like almost 100% are gay, or this new phrase, gay adjacent.
Which
so
is like
somebody
just
who's
gay.
been in close physical contact with and also because then they also have the new phrase, the men who have sex with men.
Right.
As in what's his name said from one of our shows, as in people in prison.
Well, guys, we do need to drop
I think that's just gay. Like, if you're a man having sex with other men, you're just gay.
Jaquil and Traquan, in prison, they're just
not
cellmates.
Necessarily, yeah, because if you're in the mafia and you go to jail, you can do that and you're not gay. And second of all, as a person that goes to a lot of orgies, I don't like the negative stigma that this is bringing. This is making it hard for me to get invited. This is making it hard for me to find multiple sexual partners to vibe with. So, yeah, I would like it if big tech would crack down on the stigma, because make America orgy friendly again is what I say.
I know. I was going to say, I feel really bad for him. He told me he had to reduce his sexual partners from 52 down to something small like 16 to 20. And
I know.
Oh, no.
And how much?
And you have to have it at separate times. So it's just the time commitment now. You can't have he could just knock them out like 2 days, Friday, Saturday, 20, 32. Boom, done. Now he's got to schedule things. His sex life is taking over.
I'm saran wrapping my whole body. I can't breathe. It's terrible.
He's wearing a mask.
I miss the good old days. You could just go to an orgy, have fun, not have to worry about anything. But thanks a lot, social media.
No, you can. I don't know if you saw that.
Bang my head on my
in San Francisco, they're having their kink orgy festivals. This is not a joke. They have these that are coming up over the next couple months, and they did just want to let people know that yes, with the disease that has the same survival rate as COVID. With COVID, though, you could not go to your mom's funeral, and you couldn't go to church.
Right.
But with the same level of deadliness, they do want to let you know that at your gay orgy festivals, where you have sexual contact with up to 30 or more people, and also drink gallons of urine, which I found out is a thing people do, you should also just take caution to maybe slightly reduce or question your contact. Saran wrap not included.
Yeah, you can still teach your elementary class.
So I do want to then
share pictures with your 6th grade class.
I do want to get into. So obviously they're declaring a state of emergency because they want to get reimbursed by state and federal governments. But my thing is this isn't COVID where you accidentally got it breathing at the grocery store. Like,
that's what he told his girlfriend.
Well, there's orgies there's orgies at grocery stores after they close. Yeah, so
but I'm
you
just
can't
saying,
get it
like,
at the
do
grocery
they
store.
really deserve money? Like, should
Yes.
we be paying because people
If
are
Ukraine
having
deserves
sex with
money,
multiple
then they do.
people?
It's not a sexually transmitted disease. I'm
I
so mad of the
understand.
right-wing media. First of all, it's just totally random, and it's just, if you're gay adjacent, you have some gay friends, you get it, okay? That's why. So, yes, we need more funding. We don't have enough federal funding for monkeypox. This is probably the biggest crisis that's facing our country right now, and I think that we should allocate most of our resources towards combating it.
Alex, you're absolutely correct. I understand that recently they were talking about the uptick in crime could be related to hooded gentlemen. And I realized that, if hoodies are attacking people around the country and causing crime rates to increase, I wanted to look closer at what might be causing monkeypox, since it wasn't the gay male community. And I did notice that around a lot of these people who have it, there's rainbow flags. And I would like further request for investigation to find out if the flags have something to do with the disease.
Well, Alex, you mentioned that there's a new nickname for monkeypox, which I won't personally say, but you did.
Schlong COVID. My
earlier.
dad said it, Tucker, and it's a great name, Schlong COVID. Everybody likes it. Schlong's a friendly word. I think that's YouTube friendly.
It means bratwurst. It's a hot dog.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like hot dogs?
The top public health official in New York City actually did ask the World Health Organization to rename monkeypox because of its
Into ooh, ouch, ouch. That's what I heard.
He said NYC joins many public health experts and community leaders who have expressed their serious concern about continuing to exclusively use the term monkeypox, given the stigma it may engender and the painful and racist history within which terminology like this is rooted for communities of color.
Well, I hate to always be the contrarian, but I think we should keep it monkeypox like chickenpox. Everybody should get monkeypox once. Like everybody says to get chickenpox, because once you get it, you never get it again.
It's a rite of passage.
Yes, exactly. We have monkeypox parties, and then everybody gets it, and then you never
I think
get it
that's
again.
literally how they're getting it, actually. We'll just start calling them monkeypox parties to be more kid-friendly. But you go hang around and play with a lot of your friends when you're a kid, you get chickenpox. You grow up, you play with a lot more of your friends in a much more adult way, you get monkeypox. So it says you have a point. I mean, he's a doctor, he's a poet, he's an author. What doesn't he do?
Well, I mean, not in this country, but yeah, in Guadalajara, I am a doctor. Yeah, I'm a medical doctor.
So correct me if I'm wrong, the person who just automatically assumes that the term monkeypox would be associated
With black people is a little racist.
A little racist,
That
right?
is a
Like
little
maybe
racist.
the person who assumes that is the racist.
There's always a saying, and I mean this genuinely, because it's like, if you say that I am obese, I'm not offended because I'm not obese. But if you're claiming that black people would get offended by being called monkeys, then you are literally equating somebody's like facial phenotype to a monkey, which to me was like, I don't think you're achieving the goal that you wanted to. I think once again, you're kind of the one reinforcing racial stereotypes.
Yeah, like maybe you guys are projecting.
Well,
a little.
This has been a totally pendulum episode for me because I'm going from joking to serious, but then they call it monkeypox, and I'll be honest, they're really connecting it with the stigma of AIDS, which they say started with monkeys. So it's almost like they're mocking us too. It seems like
Who's
somebody.
us?
I mean, everybody's getting mocked. Monkeypox. Why was it ever called monkeypox in the first place? To be fair, it's like that's almost like they're trolling us.
Well, it was.
I think it's one that's. Isn't it from Africa?
So the disease was first reported in 1958 by researchers using monkeys in research, and the first human case was in 1970.
Can we just say this? Why is it always that we research the disease before it gets to humans? Like, are we inventing these?
It's always in a lab.
It's always like, hey, we were looking at gain-of-function research viruses, and then now there's like a bunch of them out there. And I just want to know, why even with SARS, with bird flu, with these things, why they come in waves, and then why there's always research that's happening in a wave. It's like research wave, and then there's all of our.
And then virus
first,
wave.
let's call it not
Quit being a
release.
conspiracy theorist,
please.
please. I don't know conspiracies allowed on this episode.
Not in this. We're not in a castle. We're at a table. I'm sorry. This is a round table. It's a little castle-like.
Okay,
Follow
so
Alex
we've got
on YouTube, Conspiracy
to
Castle.
we got to take a quick break. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Bank on Yourself. These guys are really cool. You got to check them out. If you're looking at your 401k or your IRA account balance, honestly probably don't look at it because it's really depressing these days. You're hearing all of these people, we're talking about a recession. People are like, there's no hope, you're going to lose your money. That's not true. The truth is you can build a financial bunker that grows and protects your money during even the scariest of economic times. Yes, even under Joe Biden. This is a retirement plan by Bank on Yourself. It's a retirement plan alternative that lets you escape the financial carnage, and it's never had a losing year in over 160 years. Think about all of the financial calamities that have happened in 160 years. This has never had a losing year. So whether you've been investing for years or just starting out, now is the time to bank on yourself. They will let you reach your financial goals and dreams without taking any unnecessary risks. And this strategy also lets you take a tax-free retirement income, which protects you from, of course, all of the taxes that the left wants to impose on you. You are going to control the money in your plan, not the government, which is completely unlike 401ks or IRAs. You guys, you really have to go there and understand how it all works. I went through the entire process with them, and I was amazed at what they were able to do. You got to go to bankonyourself.com/matters. That is bankonyourself.com/matters. The good news, guys, the Fayetteville Public Library in Arkansas is hosting a back-to-school dance for middle and high school students, which you are probably thinking like, oh, that's kind of cute, I guess, as long as it's age-appropriate. Well, students are going to get to enjoy a drag show, pick out clothing from the transition closet, and will be equipped with gender support systems. One of the signs, one of the website says the school year is almost here and we're sending off summer with the biggest bash under the rainbow. The Equality Crew of Northwest creates safe spaces for LGBTQ plus youth to have fun being their true selves, which is, it's always good when you see like your tax money going to pay for middle schoolers to be indoctrinated.
He's happy about this.
Well, this is my point. I'm such a contrarian, but this is why I actually respect drag queens, because at least drag queens, they just do it temporarily. They dress in drag, they put on all the accoutrement, but they don't pretend to be a woman 24/7, right? They realize they go back to reality. The problem is now they're convincing young children to be trans for their whole life. So what I'm saying is I almost respect the drag queen for playing make-believe temporarily, I see your face, than the people that are giving the gender reassignment surgery or hormone therapy that changes their life, that alters their life for eternity. So
what about the drag queens who are performing for the children who will be
it's called
indoctrinated
art.
into the
That's
agenda?
called art, and people don't understand that on the right side. It's a man wearing a thong dressed as Tina Turner. That's artistic, and that's probably some of the best art we've ever created as Americans.
True. That is why they kept the strip clubs open and closed the churches, because the true religion of America is sex, and we've abandoned God. So they worship the pole, but not the one who created the pole.
I know, it is really bad, honestly, that they're doing this at these schools. It's so weird that they're getting these young kids at this young of an age, and it's obviously not some sort of accident. But at the same time, and I'm not defending one bit, it's like, how do we stop this? It seems like it's just getting more and more and more. Is it like...
I have ideas, they're illegal, but I also will say like the way that you could stop this if we were a serious country would be obvious, criminalizing things that are sexualizing to children. I mean, it's crazy because if you go to a park and you pull your balls out and show them to a kid, you go to jail for exposing yourself to minors. Right. But if you do that at a library that parents bring their kids to, you get celebrated, and if you protest that, then you get slapped with hate crime charges. So it's like a very weird thing that you can sexualize kids as long as it's in a public library. And I'm like, I want to get back to where like the library was a place you didn't want to go because you didn't want to do something boring like read books. Not because you didn't want to see a 42-year-old man's pubic hair sticking out of his leotard, waving his dildo in your face at 8 years old, which is what they were doing. I don't know if you've seen that, like one of the stickies, the one that was like fully naked with stickies on. And you're going, I just do not understand a parent, and I'm not a parent right now, but I would think, like, if I had a kid, I would want to save that kid from the evil of the world. And if I had to think of, like, some way to adjust my child to learning about the true evilness of the world, it wouldn't start with putting them in an adult-themed striptease show with mentally ill people.
Yeah, you're right. And you made a good point, too. And the people that go and protest it, the people that are protesting are the evil ones, in the media.
They're fascists.
It's like they're the worst ones. It's like you should be able to kind of understand their viewpoint a little bit.
Don't be a fascist. Fascists are against grooming children. You're like, you are, once again, this is the monkey black thing. You're not helping your case by saying the fascists are the ones fighting against evil.
And this is my last point, is all the people that got mad at me for sexualizing AOC all believe that drag queen story time is perfectly fine.
That's actually a great point.
It's kind of like,
That's a great point. Well, you mentioned like what can be done, but I mean, Ron DeSantis is... he's doing things.
But
they filed a complaint against a bar that just did it.
You know, you're 100% right. But did you see in New York? I think they spent nearly $1 million on. It was like $700,000. Yes,
on drag queen story time.
On drag queen story time. So it's like. In these liberal places, it's these teacher unions. Did you see the head of the biggest teacher union? I think she makes like $14 million a year or something ridiculous. Like, if you have one person that's the top of the pyramid, they can basically make this happen all over. And unless we stop it at the top, it's going to continue to happen. Sadly.
It's just sad. Like, I get that this is a college town in Fayetteville, but it's still Arkansas. It's like, how is this stuff happening in
they have a Baphomet statue, a satanic statue at their the House of Representatives. Google Baphomet in Arkansas. Yeah, and Arkansas, the Iran-Contra. Barry Seal, there's a movie about it, flying in cocaine from Nicaragua. We were giving them guns all through Mena, Arkansas. So Arkansas is not some little hunky-dory place.
Well, I know, but I mean,
you think that people would be conservative?
No, but they're not in these. You have to realize when you go to a lot of these states. So in the flyover states that the liberals think, and this is shocking to me, being one of those snooty, lame liberal city folk, was that when you go to other states in their main city. Like if you go to like Tulsa or you go to these places, they're actually very liberal, like just these central cities, and they're not much different. Maybe closer to being like a college town, just not as like many like corporate places. But realistically, the city centers are just liberal places where if you're liberal, that's the only place you can live in the state. So they go there. Like Salt Lake City is super liberal. Also, my poll just ended. Then my question to the public: will you be avoiding gay orgies this weekend? And officially, 3,867 votes are in. 81% said yes. 19% said no.
Good for us.
So we have about 700 people that will be perhaps, if only they're carrying flags, spreading monkeypox. Thank you for the other 2,300 that have chosen not to.
Well, I don't think tax.
Did you vote no on that?
Go to that.
I think more tax money should go to it.
Oh my gosh. All right, we've got more to come. But I want to remind you guys, if you haven't picked up your really cool Blaze socks, make sure to do that. We had the Let's Go Brandon socks. They were a huge hit. They're very soft.
Wait, I need socks. I don't have any socks. Wait, Blaze, I need some socks.
I'll hook you up.
Oh
I'll get you some socks.
Okay,
look, because I can go to blazesocks.com. I can use promo code SarahSocks, and then we can pick out, there's like a Klaus Schwab one.
Sarah Socks, not Sarah Sucks.
Right, Sarah Well, duh. Why would anyone say
rocks,
Sarah Sucks?
okay,
Sarah Socks.
It should have been Sarah Rocks.
Yes, I agree. There's a Ron DeSantis one. There's a Ultra MAGA one. They've got all sorts of stuff. So make sure that you go to blazesocks.com, promo code SarahSocks to get some savings. That is blazesocks.com.
Are there any Hunter Biden socks?
All right, a Texas private school. I got to tell you guys this. I only got a couple minutes left, but you people think that these things are not happening in Texas in private schools, that they're not indoctrinating your children, and they are. This is St. Andrew's Episcopal School in Texas is facing backlash from parents for introducing concepts in critical race theory and gender ideology to their children. This is in Austin, and there is a lesson plan that one of the teachers turned in that they're teaching kindergartners that whites make it harder for black people and whites boss people of color around. Children at that school are also taught that New York has more freedom to vote than in Texas. Let me just tell you how much people are paying to have their children indoctrinated at an Episcopal school. $26,870 a year is the tuition for freaking kindergarten.
Wow, that's way more than a lot of colleges.
So that your probably white children can be taught that they are racist and make it harder for black people. So that's great. It's really great.
It's kind of like I'm happy what happens to the people that get their 4th and 5th booster. I'm happy that those people are spending all their money at that school, honestly. I don't care.
Well, what's concerning to me is like how many of them even know that this is going on? Because I think that there are a lot of people who they think that it's an Episcopal school, right? So we can just send our kids there and they're going to learn all the things and they don't pay attention.
Yeah, I just, nowhere is safe anymore. Nothing is sacred. You don't trust any institution and don't trust
If you
anyone.
can't go to a 30-person orgy, where can you go?
All right, thanks, guys. Whew, this was a tough one, but I survived. Alex Stein,
I'm going to try to get
Elijah
monkeypox this weekend, and you should too.
No, don't do that, please.